Good morning and welcome to the special Saturday edition of the Rick Helps Real Estate Show. Hope you're all doing well out there. Going to be another toasty one today, but I did see on my weather app and talking to family in Washington State, on Monday, Seattle is going to be hotter than we are. They're going to be 109. That never happens up there. It's going to put some stress on the power grid. So charge your Tesla on Sunday because you may not have power on Monday. Man, that is hot. There aren't a lot of air conditioners up there either. So when it bakes, it bakes. But good news is there's a lot of lakes to swim in. So kind of a nice place to hang out when it is warm. So enough about the weather. Get this morning, 6,285 listings on the market. That's 150 more than last Saturday. So listings are climbing, and I'm going to share a little bit of data with you, and we're going to touch and talk a little bit about foreclosures, pending foreclosures in this market. But right now, 6,285, that's pretty good. Our 7-day moving average is still showing us that there are more listings coming on than are going under contract on a consistent basis. That's pretty darn good. Now, when you look at some of the data here, here's a summary. This is comparing to same week last year. The seller's market is weakening a little bit, not a lot. Some cities faster than others. Supply 75.5% below normal seasonal levels. So supply is still brutally low, but total supply is up 23% since mid-February, but still down 47% from last year. So we're still pretty tight. Supply is up 29% in the 300 to 400,000 range, 68 400 to 800, and only 5% over 1.5 million. But it's interesting here in the 4 to 8 and the 8 to 1.5. Look at the price reductions, up 152% and up 192%. So that goes back to what I was talking about a few days this week, and that is that the price reductions are not because house prices are falling. Not at all. Price reductions are people that overshot. They're thinking in that price range, 400, 800,000. Well, I'm probably worth 475 when reality is probably like 425. So they had to pull it back. Those are the price reductions that I'm seeing. So if you're purchasing and you see that a home's been on the market for 30 days, go for it. Don't wait for them to pull their price down. Don't wait for them to make the move. You make the move. Go for it. You won't have any bidding wars. The bidding wars won't start until they do lower the price. So if it's been on the market 30 days, that conversation is going to happen. So you might as well get in there and just offer them what you want to pay for that home. And I think that's a good move right now. Looking at this data again, I think also demand is still 7.3% above normal seasonal level, but says summer slowdown is coming. It looks like it is. We still have record closed sales throughout May, and 62% of June sales closed over the asking price. That's telling you if you're thinking of selling, I'm going to stick my neck out and say this is the summer that you're going to get the price on your home. Next summer, you probably still will, but you probably still will. So this summer, if you're thinking of selling, it's still a good market to list your home. Next summer, not sure. I'm not saying there's going to be a crash. I'm going to show you some foreclosure numbers here, but just throwing that out there. If you're thinking at all about listing, these numbers are good. It's shouting at you that now's the time to do it. Now, I had a question come up this morning, asking me about seasonality in Arizona. And here's several years averages of new listings by calendar month. So you can see that January is usually always the month where new listings come on. And then you got February, and then you have December. Well, Christmas. Nobody puts homes on the market on Christmas. But these are showing when new listings come up. Now, look at that January number, 244,752. That's the number of records. But then if I take this chart and I look at closed sales, remember, closed sales are always 30 to 45 days after a home gets listed. So the reason that there aren't very many closed sales in January is because nobody's writing offers in December. But then look at January, February, March. The homes that were listed in January and February closed in March. So March has far more closings. And then June has a lot of closings for contracts that were written in May. And we're seeing the same thing now. This is, let's see, is this the one I want to look at? I want to take a look at this right here. This says, we still maintain the foreclosure database and REO inventory, but there's precious little going on. They're saying that despite the speculation that the pandemic was going to cause a lot of foreclosures, we're just not seeing it. So take a look at these numbers right here. For comparison, the number of pending foreclosures for this week in June was 2002, 7,241, 2005, over 3,300 homes, 2009, 45,000 homes. Today, 611. That's it. That's the only number of foreclosures that we have, and you can see it on the chart right here. This is where we're at. Let me move my head. So right there on the bottom, there's barely anything. Like May, these are notice of trustee sales by month. 70 notices in May. Do I have June here? I don't have June yet. But that's not a lot going on, folks. Now, will we have a lot of foreclosures? Well, you've already seen that there are some Wall Street investors, places like BlackRock, that want to buy more rental housing, but they don't want to buy one here, one there. They're buying these developments that are called BTRs, which are build to rent, and then they're buying like 130 at a time. So D.R. Horton goes out and builds 139 homes, build to rent, gets a hold of BlackRock. You want to buy these? And then they make a profit off that. BlackRock gets the rent and the appreciation. But you have all these forbearance plans where more and more people are exiting the plan by modifying their note and continuing to make their payments or reinstating their payments. We haven't seen any uptick. Now, they've been doing this for a few months now, exiting forbearance plans. We haven't seen any uptick in pre-foreclosures like people thought. There's still around 2 million nationally of homes that are in a forbearance plan. And there are, statistically speaking, just as many people behind on their mortgages right now today as there was before the pandemic. So there isn't an alarming number of homes that are just going to hit the market. And on top of that, the homes that are in forbearance have an incredible amount of equity. So they're not going to hand them back to the bank. They're going to sell them to somebody. You know, if they can't make their payments, if you're sitting there and you've got $50,000 in equity, are you going to give it back to the bank? Or are you going to sell it to somebody and then use that money to keep yourself afloat? So I don't see that foreclosure wave coming. And if we were going to see it, I think we'd be seeing it now because there's been such a large number of people exiting their forbearance plans. Now, the rental moratorium has been extended. They kicked the can down the road another 30 days, but the CDC did come up and say, that's the last extension. That's all you get. But you're just hearing horror stories out there on these. And I remember one gentleman said in an article I read, he says, my renter is not paying me rent. He says he doesn't have to. He's saving to buy a house. If you're doing that, stop it. I have no respect for you. So it's an interesting time. Now, what happens when all these renters get kicked out? Are they going to get kicked out, or are they just saying the moratorium's over, now you got to start paying rent? So there's going to be a lot of individual conversations going on between mom and pop landlords and large apartment complexes. I don't see a whole bunch of people getting booted out into the street. I think they're going to just find another place to rent. I also don't know, and here's the unknown, if you took advantage of the moratorium, is that going to show that you didn't pay rent for a year? And is that going to hurt you when you go out and apply for another place to rent? I don't know how that's all going to shake out, because when they issued these moratoriums, CDC did, which is in and of itself a whole different ballgame, they didn't really draw up a lot of rules of how landlords will get compensated and how you'll be affected. When forbearances first came out, people were getting an immediate 75-point hit on their credit right off the bat. They went into forbearance, showed up as late payments, even though the government said, okay, don't report these as late payments. Well, they still did. Well, they got in and they stopped that. So the people that went into forbearance, they were not showing up as late payments now. So they are not going to get dinged on their credit like they were the first 2 weeks they went into forbearance. So there's a lot of actions that are taken on by the feds that just go, well, here's what we're going to do. And they, oh, we didn't think about that. And there's a lot more things coming down the road that they're not thinking about either. So, we're from the government. We're here to help. But I'm encouraged by the number of listings that we're seeing coming on board. I think I'm going to call it this slow march towards normal. I think I'm already seeing a little bit slight reduction in number of offers per home. You might have had 10 offers. Now you got 6. It's still brisk out there. It's not insane. It's still difficult for buyers. It's still quite easy for sellers, unless you do what I call shooting for the moon. So you've got to price them right. But we're getting closer and closer to a normal market. And when I say normal, I mean we're months away. So I think it's going to be fall before we see that, maybe even winter. But between now and then, if this trend continues, these bidding wars and these waiving of appraisals will be the first thing that's going to disappear. You're going to see these appraisal waivers get flicked off the desk because they don't have to. They won't have to do it anymore, not if there's enough inventory. So numbers to watch, that's for sure. So everybody have an amazing Saturday and a great weekend, and be safe out there. Take care.